Hi guys, welcome back to a page in the chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige and it is time to talk through my March TBR. So this video is coming to you late because I have the world's worst cold at the moment, and between getting sick right at the beginning of deadline season it's not been a good mix. Finding time to film has just kind of not really happened, so this video is a little bit late, but it's fine. It's getting out there and that's all that matters. So today we're going to be talking through all of the books that I wish to get to in March. I've kept it quite light, as I said, deadline season. I also do kind of enjoy just mood reading, and I have some fun videos coming up that I might have to read like books for, and I'm not really sure kind of what my March reading is going to look like, because I have no idea what kind of time I'm gonna have or what I'm going to want to be reading. So I have some hopefuls, I have some books that I've started and would like to finish and that sort of thing, and I will talk you through those books today. So if you enjoy seeing TBRs and wrap-ups, I upload one every single month, so please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below to stay tuned for videos every single Wednesday and occasionally on a Sunday, and then that way you'll be able to know what I plan on reading and whether I actually achieve that every single month. Also, do feel free to check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Page and Chapter so you can see what I'm reading and how I'm reviewing it in real time. You don't have to wait for these videos every single month, you can just see it whenever I upload my thoughts, because that happens often too. And so without further ado, because I do want this video to be quite short and snappy because I feel like death, let's just get on into the books that I would like to read in March. So the first book is one that I started weeks and weeks ago, and I've just been really struggling to find the time to read it based on its topic and how I'm approaching the reading of this book, and that is Invisible Women by Caroline Criado Perez. This will be my first non-fiction of the year, and I think non-fiction is really going to become a slightly bigger genre for me in 2023 than it has in previous years. In recent years I've only read like 1 or 2 non-fiction books in the entire year, but already I have 4 non-fiction books that I have purchased just in the last month that I'm interested to get to, so if I read all 4 of those then I'm already ahead of where I was the past couple of years. So this is a non-fiction book that looks at exposing data bias in the world, basically looking at how data is often biased towards men and then policies are made based on that data, and thus the world is kind of skewed to benefit men much more than women just purely because the data isn't there. It's very, very, very interesting. I have read just a little bit. It's taking me a really long time because I'm underlining and tabbing because you just can't see my tabs. It's very frustrating. There we go. You can kind of see there that I'm tabbing it. So it takes a while when you do it this way. It's also just very heavy reading, and I started reading this on the flight to New York, and whilst very interesting, was probably not, like, it just wasn't really the vibe, and I've just struggled to pick it up since. But I think reading this alongside a romance will be fine. It's just about finding the time. I'm hoping to have some time to sit down today and read like another chapter and just kind of do this by like section at a time. But I'm particularly excited about the medical aspects of this book. I have also seen another book that looks at how medicine is inherently quite sexist just based on like gaps in science and research and things like that, so I do want to pick up that book as well. This book I know touches on it. To give you an idea of some of the random things that this book covers, it looks at snow clearing. I can't remember in what country, but it basically uncovers that when the roads in this city are cleared, they clear the roads and not the pavements first because they prioritize like people driving to work, and the science supports the fact that it's typically men driving to work and women are more likely to walk and use public transport than men are, so they're essentially clearing the roads for men and thus leaving the pavements for like women to struggle on in the snow because it just doesn't get done in time. And they found that when they prioritize pedestrians, because pedestrians are more likely to struggle in the snow than cars on the road are, because cars are more equipped to deal with that, they found that they ended up saving time, they ended up saving money, especially because then there were less injuries and they save money in hospitals and things like that. And it's just basically these like little things where the data suggests that women use something more than men do, but then a lot of the policies and the systems in place still support things that benefit men more than it benefits women. I'm very excited to dive into this a little bit more, continue tabbing, continue learning. This book has come highly recommended to me by my friends, and we got to talking about it on a class trip. My class only has one male person in it, so we talk about feminism and women in STEM a lot, and this book came up, so I'm really looking forward to reading it. And then when I was in Waterstones looking for Invisible Women, because I wanted to pick it up after my friend recommended it, I also saw that they had this book on the same shelf, and I just couldn't resist picking it up. And this is Hysterical by Pragya Agarwal. I've probably butchered that and I'm really sorry. But this is called Hysterical, Exploring the Myth of Gendered Emotions, and doesn't that just sound ridiculously interesting? I feel like this is a topic I know nothing about, but would just make me incredibly angry at the male species, and that seems like something I want to explore. We've all heard the sayings that girls should be sugar and spice and all things nice, while boys don't cry. In Hysterical, Pragya Agarwal dives deep into the history and science that determine the gendering of emotions to ask whether there is any truth in the notion of innate differences between the male and female experience of emotions. She examines the impact this has on men and women, especially the role it has played in the subjugation of women throughout history, and how a future where emotions are ungendered might look. I am so looking forward to this book. This will probably be another one that I underline and tab and will take me 3 years to get through, but I don't care. I think it's optimistic to think that I will finish this book in March. It's heavy reading. I already have a heavy reading non-fiction on this TBR. It's not the smallest book in the world, but I would at least like to start it in the month of March, so I figured I would talk about it. And then we get on to the light fluffy stuff, which I will definitely need in conjunction with the other stuff. So the first book I would like to get to is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. Of course this was going to be on a TBR at some point. This is the newly published and highly anticipated Talia Hibbert book. It is her first outside of the Brown Sisters series. I have very much enjoyed Talia Hibbert's writing in the past. Not all of the Brown Sisters books are my favourite. They're definitely not books that I immediately fell in love with. I did have to kind of read all of them to find the charm in them and for them to resonate with me. And the last book, Eve Brown, did end up being my favourite, so I did kind of have to wait around to find that like spark of joy for a book. But I do think Talia Hibbert is a very good romance writer, and I'm always going to be happy to go and pick up her books, because even if I don't love them, I definitely don't dislike them, and they're a good option for fluffy, cute contemporary romances to have on my TBR, and that is never a bad thing. So this is Academic Rivals to Lovers, which is just, it sounds like it's going to be perfect for me. I believe it involves some kind of like camping or camping trip. So it follows Celine, and she is angry at her ex-best friend Brad because he abandoned her and decided that she wasn't cool enough for him anymore and made other friends and just kind of left her. And it follows them now in the present day when their only relationship is academic rivals. So Celine signs up for a survival course, and the last thing she expects is Brad to be also taking that same survival course with her, and naturally this leads to them building a relationship. I don't know if this is adult or young adult. I think Goodreads classes it as young adult, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is. We know that sometimes adult books that should definitely be classed as adult get classed in young adult all of the time, so I don't know what this is, but I will let you know after I read it. I'm kind of just hoping for a cute, fluffy, easy contemporary read. As I said, I'm not feeling too great, so any book that kind of feels like a warm hug and it's not too much brain power to get through is just incredible right now. I know I say this after just talking about this book, which will definitely be a giant headache, but you get my point. I'm excited to read this. And then the final book I would like to read is Made in Manhattan by Lauren Lane. I picked this up when I was in New York. I talked about it in my New York book shopping and book haul video. Basically, I picked this up because it was on a table centered around books that were set in New York City. I know it was kind of a touristy thing, but it did just really speak to me, and I was really taken in. And whilst I didn't necessarily love the sound of this book, I don't think this is a book that I would pick up other than in this specific circumstance that I wanted a book centered around New York that I purchased in New York. I don't know if I would pick this up other than that, and so for that reason I kind of need to read it soon, otherwise this is going to go to the place where books on my physical TBR go to die, because I'm really gonna just lose all interest and momentum with it. I should have definitely started reading this the minute I got back from New York, so that it was still like the excitement and the motivation to read it was still there, but alas, that didn't happen. I'm really hoping to get it read soon so that I can get it off my physical TBR, and I don't think it's going to be a bad read. It's definitely a very aesthetic cover. I love this cover so much. And this follows Violet Townsend, and she is kind of like an Upper East Side socialite, and she is tasked with teaching Kane how to fit in with this Upper East Side society, except he has absolutely no interest in doing that. Feels very Gossip Girl vibes, and I'm very much here for it, and I do think this will be a fun read. I'm interested to see how the setting plays part, and I do enjoy reading about champagne problems and rich people problems and this kind of rich elite society. I think it's a very rich setting, and so I am excited to see how it plays out. I just do think that I need to get to it before the hype around my trip to New York completely dies in my brain, because I have too much other stuff going on to really prioritise this book when it's a deadline and dissertation season and I'm ill and I'm not having a particularly fun time right now. And so here are the 4 books that are on my TBR for the month of March. I definitely think that I can read more than 4 books in the month of March. I just really do want there to be some room to play around and to just pick up some books. I recently got a Kindle Unlimited subscription, so I kind of just want to play with that, see where the mood takes me. But I'm making a big effort at the moment to get some of the books on my physical TBR off of it. I'm on a book buying ban. It's the first like super enforced book buying ban that I've ever imposed on myself, and it's just because my list of books on my physical TBR has gotten far too long. So even though I do want to mood read and I do want to test out Kindle Unlimited this month and things like that, I also did think it was important to have some physical books on this monthly TBR, and that's why this is like a slightly smaller one. I just want to leave some things open to chance, because I have no idea what my reading is going to look like this month. Everything feels very up in the air. So if you have read any of these books, then do please let me know down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of them. If you have any recommendations for me based on these. I'm kind of running out of romance books. I mean, that's stupid because I'm not. But also, if you guys have any romance recommendations for me, then do please leave them down in the comments section. I'm a big fan of sports romances, academic anything, and fake dating. So yeah, if you could just help me out, because recommendations are how I find most of the books that I read. If you guys enjoyed this video and you would like to see the wrap up at the end of the month to see how I did and what I ended up reading, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below and stay tuned for future content. I upload every single Wednesday and occasionally on a Sunday. I know this video was quite short. I am very sorry. I am just not feeling very well, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, you are enjoying everything you are reading, and there are no reading slumps in your future. And I will see you for my next video. Bye guys.